Hello all. I am absolutely lost with the news on this one. I would like to take a look today at the new station entrance at Knightsbridge. Why? Well, look at it. It's a modern entrance designed to look like one from 1906. Oh yeah, apologies in advance for my voice, it is not in a good way right now. The practical reason this entrance on Hooper's Court exists is to provide step-free access to the station, part of a project to make half the stations on the tube accessible by 2030. Presumably more after that, but I don't want to be pushy. Knightsbridge is a very busy station. It serves one of London's major shopping districts, many upmarket hotels, and Hyde Park. It gets something in the region of 13 million passengers a year. It's on the Piccadilly line, which serves both St Pancras International and Heathrow Airport. Between people with heavy luggage, people with heavy shopping, people with mobility issues, and people with pushchairs, the investment in step-free access is more than justified. But what's the deal with this retro styling? The Underground is a system with a lot of respect for its own history, but normally when a new station or new entrance is opened, they go for something more modern. Is this just a bit of whimsy for the tourists? Well, the fact of the matter is that this new part of Knightsbridge station is not very new at all. Knightsbridge was in the first batch of Piccadilly line stations to open, back in 1906. In those days, the Piccadilly line was the Great Northern Piccadilly and Brompton Railway, and the main entrance was facing onto Brompton Road. In fact, literally next door to this entrance here. It was a somewhat fancier station than the others, reflecting the fact that this was, then as now, a wealthy area. Now in 1906 there were no escalators on the Underground. The first ones would appear in 1911, just down the Piccadilly line at Earl's Court. To get down to the trains, passengers either had to get the lift or use the stairs. Now this created a crowd flow problem. With trains arriving at platform level almost as frequently as the lifts did, stations could become overcrowded in rush hour. If you've ever experienced the nightmare that is Covent Garden Station, you'll know what I mean. Escalators allowed a constant outflow of passengers. In the 1920s and 30s, London Electric Railways, owners of the Piccadilly line, it's complicated, embarked on a programme of retrofitting their stations with escalators wherever practical. They didn't do it everywhere. Some stations weren't busy enough to merit such a big investment. Believe it or not, one of them was Covent Garden. Where they did do it, they often had to re-site the station entrance. Basically because while a lift goes straight up, an escalator goes diagonal. So you ended up with a situation like the one at Hyde Park Corner, where the original entrance is very obvious, but the actual present-day entrance is a little way down the street. In some cases, it worked to the Piccadilly line's advantage. When the line had been built, they'd put a lot of stations very close together, meaning that many of them just weren't very popular. For instance, Knightsbridge was very close to Brompton Road, a station that was notoriously unpopular. There was even a play about it entitled Passing Brompton Road. The new entrance to Knightsbridge next to Harrods department store was even closer to Brompton Road and meant that the company could justify closing that station down. Something similar happened with Green Park and Down Street. Here at Knightsbridge, a new ticket hall was constructed below street level. That entrance opened in 1934. The old ticket hall was converted into a shop at the front and a hotel entrance at the back. The Leslie Green facade was painted white at the back and removed at the front, although some tiling did survive down the side at Hooper's Court. Well, since then, times have changed. Accessibility was not a consideration for the builders of the Piccadilly line, but of course it is now. Knightsbridge was a station obviously in need of upgrading. The rebuild is a collaboration with the Knightsbridge estate and includes both the Hooper's Court step-free entrance and this wider one onto Brompton Road. One of the short-sighted aspects of the 1934 rebuild was that the new entrance was quite narrow. Once again, that problem with crowd flow. This entrance had been added in 2005, but that's on the other side of the road, not the one with all the big department stores. So in short, the retro styling of the new entrance is not some kind of twee callback to the past, but a reflection of the existing building. This side entrance did not exist back in 1906, but the building did. Much of the structure of the new entrance is, in fact, a refurbishment of the old entrance. As a matter of fact, the lift shafts, the very thing that make this new accessibility possible, are the original shafts from 1906. They'd been used for ventilation in the interim, because the underground doesn't like throwing stuff away. The styling is typical of Leslie Green. The most obvious hallmark of his designs was the oxblood tiled faience. As I often say when it comes to tube stations, if it's red, it's green. Which is a joke so thought-provoking that people often forget to laugh. At the back, the faience has been restored, and look at those fancy floral mouldings, a feature unique to Knightsbridge, reflecting the upmarket nature of the intended clientele. Inside, Green's stations all had a unique colour scheme. A popular suggestion is that this was so illiterate passengers could tell which station they were at. I've never been entirely convinced by this. I favour the theory that it was so regular commuters could instantly recognise their stop even if they couldn't see the sign or hear the announcer. Regardless, while the scheme is gone at platform level, it's back at the Hooper's Court entrance. There are 2 lifts in the new booking hall, and there's another lift to get people past the final staircase to the platform. I should also mention this rather splendid tiling down Hooper's Court itself. Got a bit of an arts and crafts feel. I think it works quite well thematically with the entrance. I also suspect that glazed tiling is a bit easier to keep clean than plain brickwork. This new entrance has been a long time coming. It was announced in 2016 and only opened in late April this year. But I think it's not only a practical addition, but a stylish one. One of the great conflicts over modernising the underground is, how do you maintain the classic features of the system without compromising its usefulness as a 21st century metro? Often you can't. You have to sacrifice style for substance. But here at Knightsbridge, we can have both. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this retro tale from the tube. If so, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like as ever to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and here on YouTube for your generous support. You are the ventilation shaft to my new lift. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.